Good morning, everyone. Well, today the Senate will start debate on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. The process will be drawn out over several days as the GOP aims to stall the process with parliamentary tricks, including a demand to read the entire 700-page bill on the Senate floor. It could take hours to do that. And it's all happening, coincidentally, on the same day that conspiracy theories are running rampant about today being the, quote, true inauguration day. Well, Capitol Police are on high alert for a possible plot by a militia group to breach the U.S. Capitol. It's a lot to unpack, so joining me now is Bloomberg Chief Washington Correspondent Kevin Cirilli from Washington. Hey, Kevin, thanks so much for being here. Look, Republicans want to draw this out, but there is a deadline fast approaching of March 14th. How long is this process going to take?
I think that there could be some procedural hijinks, and I think there are some members of the Republican caucus in the Senate that will raise issue with the amount of spending in the bill and also the amount of money that are going to Democratic-controlled states. Look, yesterday, House Republicans had a blue state bailout, is what they're dubbing the stimulus bill. And they're looking at polls that suggest in the Republican Party that while the $1,400 stimulus checks remain incredibly popular and money for vaccination distribution remain popular, that some of the other funds that are being allocated to states that they feel are controlled by Democrats and aren't as fiscally responsible, that their taxpayer constituents shouldn't be on the hook for it. But I think ultimately over the next couple of days, you're going to see this near the finish line and get to President Biden's desk.
Yeah, one thing I do wonder about is the end game for Republicans here, because as you mentioned, it's going to be at the president's desk in a few days. What's the point of drawing it out like this? There are elements of the bill that are very, very popular. The majority of Americans want to see this thing through.
Well, and Republicans would say that they're on board with those parts of the bill. So no Republican is saying that it should be $0 worth of stimulus. What they're saying is that it should only be funds that are allocated for vaccination rollout, which is several hundreds of billions of dollars, in addition to some more funds to make sure that schools are better prepared for students to go back to the classroom so that schools can reopen. And in addition to that, the $1,400 stimulus checks, the targeted stimulus checks for individuals who are not able to go to work because of restrictions that their business and small businesses should not be open because of the pandemic. But look, I think this bears repeating. That we're not talking about 0 versus 1.9 trillion. We're talking about lawmakers, including Senators Sinema and Manchin, who are Democrats, saying that they want to spend hundreds of billions of dollars versus Democrats who are saying they want to spend up close to $2 trillion. So there is some nuance here, because if you go to some of these states like Texas, which has been in the news this week, where there is a strong conservative control politically, they believe that reopening is the best way to revitalize the economy, and that's what's framing the prism of their debate.
Kevin, you mentioned Senator Sinema and, of course, Senator Manchin as well, more moderate Democrats who have been vocal about what they want to see removed or changed in the bill. A couple of those things include tightening eligibility for those $1,400 stimulus checks. We saw the White House agree to that yesterday, according to Bloomberg reporting. Another part of this is changing the way that weekly unemployment claims work. I do wonder, Kevin, if this is enough to ensure Democrats don't lose anyone that they need to get this bill across the finish line.
You know, I spoke with Senator Elizabeth Warren earlier this week, and I asked her essentially, are you disappointed with the moderates like Senator Manchin who have gotten minimum wage out of this debate? And she took it as an opportunity to criticize the filibuster rule and to criticize Mitch McConnell, the top Republican in the Senate. And I find that interesting because Democrats understand that fighting with each other in this first major policy debate on stimulus is only going to lower their political capital for future debates like immigration, like infrastructure over the next couple of months. Now, President Biden later today at the White House is going to be meeting with a bipartisan group of House members to discuss infrastructure. But when you talk about funding for infrastructure at a time in which you have even some centrist Democrats in the House, not just the Senate, the House, Tim, saying that they are uneasy about the amount of money that Washington continues to spend, it's going to be an interesting debate to see unfold over the next couple of months.
Yeah, it certainly will. And I want to make sure I get this right. The separate push by moderates to trim that supplemental unemployment benefits to $300 a week from the $400 approved in the House will not be included in what is initially brought to the Senate floor. That's according to an aide, as reported by Bloomberg. Hey, Kevin, what is going on in the nation's capital today, March 4th? Conspiracy theories abound. What's it like there?
There's definitely, I'll say anecdotally, it's definitely a topic of conversation around everyone around town, not just, sources that I talk with, but, just going to a socially distant restaurant or, walking down when you run into people, everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow or today now? But there's still a heavy troop presence. There's 5,000 troops. 5,000 troops is, a big number, and the entire Capitol compound has been fenced in. And I was talking about this yesterday with one person who said, I think people really don't understand that Washington, D.C. is much more shut down than other cities, and it has been so since January 6th. Votes were actually canceled in the House today as a result of the security concerns. But Washington, D.C. has such a heavy security presence, and they are taking no chances.
Yeah, and look, this is unfounded conspiracy theories,
Yep.
And this is concern from federal.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, it's totally crazy. Hey, Kevin, always great to see you. Thanks so much for
Thanks,
taking
Tim.
the time
Yep.
this morning.
Anytime.